I've been rejected by friends more than I've been rejected by boys. Here's the problem. In early adult life, it's so hard to make friends consciously. Like, I'm not talking about like just carry on the friends that you've had from high school, middle school, uni, or maybe your first job. Like, not just carrying on those friends, but making friends that you actually want to have. And in the past, it's almost made me a little bit desperate, like going out of my way to kind of like go to certain events, like looking online in terms of where can I go, where can I find people that I'm going to meet with, where to find these sorts of people, where to find that sort of people. Like, it can create a bit of desperation because you feel like you need these sorts of friends to be happy. So that's the problem. But what are we going to do about it? Desperate is what happens when you think you need something to survive. I feel like if you've ever found yourself in this situation, like where you're socially desperate to make friends, it makes perfect sense because humans are such social creatures. To some extent, there is a thing such as like social survival. I don't know if that exists, I've literally just made it up. But when you're in small groups of people and you feel like you don't fit in anywhere and you don't belong and you're just always the one that's kind of outcast, that takes such a toll on your mental health to the point where, of course, you would be desperate. Like, desperate doesn't always mean like begging and like asking for things constantly. It just can mean like worrying, pondering, hoping, like really like stressed about something. Because sometimes when you're like in a group of people, like you can be in a room full of 50, 100, 200 people and you can feel really lonely, and then that can be the start of like what makes you desperate to make friends and not feel that way, because your level of desperation is equivalent to your level of insecurity. The more insecure you are about your friendships or lack of friendships, the more desperate you'll be to make them. That was for sure the case for me a few years ago when I was in my first year of uni and I felt like I hadn't really clicked with anyone like fully yet. The mistake I made though when I was like looking for friends was I made it kind of like an end goal, like I want to make friends and then like that's the goal. When really, looking back now, 3 years later, and I've actually got friends and I feel like I can go into any room and speak to anyone and I'm more confident now, that's actually not the right goal to have, like make friends. You actually want to make it more of a continuous goal. Like you want to be able, you actually want, like genuinely, you want to be able to just talk to anyone and be really confident in social situations. You don't actually want like a fixed goal, like make friends and that's it and then I'm done and then I'm not insecure anymore and I can stop being desperate. Like that's not what you want, and it puts a lot of pressure on yourself because you don't make friends like that. You don't even make friends in a month or in 2 months. Like it's such a continuous thing. Like you don't make friends, you build friendships. So switching away from that type of fixed goal is quite important because then it puts so much pressure on yourself to make friends, and it's not, you don't make friends, you build friendships. Another thing, people can smell desperate. I know that's probably not what you want to hear, because if I heard that a few years ago when I was desperate, like I probably would have clicked off because I don't want to hear that. But it's just important to bear in mind because it means that you need to kind of step back from thinking I need this to like it will come, it will happen when it needs to happen, as it always does, as everything always does. Humans are social creatures. Like we're literally like sharks with desperation. Like just like sharks can smell blood from a mile away, so can humans. And you're only desperate because you're insecure. I think once you kind of work on the insecurity a little bit, the desperation will go away. Speaking of desperation can also make you kind of friends with the wrong people. This has happened too many times I can count, to people that I've seen, but also myself. Sometimes when you're just like, your goal is to make friends and have it like, okay, it's done, I've got the friends, yay. Like then you will just kind of not make friends with anyone, but definitely make friends with the wrong people, or people that are only like half-hearted. Like you'll see some red flags, some green flags, and you'll think, oh yeah, that'll be fine, that'll do, and then you make friends, and then you realize later on down the line, like maybe I should have put my foot down and actually not been friends with them. Can't even count the amount of times this has happened to me. I feel like desperation is just another way of saying like you'll settle for anything because you're so insecure. Like I said earlier, like the extent of your insecurity is the extent of your desperation. Because you're so insecure, you'll just settle for anything, settle for anyone. Friends that will talk about you behind your back, friends that won't pay you back when you spend money on them, or friends that make you feel crap about yourself and say mean things. That's why I've titled this video this reason. Like your desperation is keeping you lonely. When you're desperate and your insecurity is super high, you'll make friends with the wrong people. People can smell your desperation from a mile away, and you'll have the wrong goals of just making friends and not actually building friendship. People that are desperate are a classic example of when you need other people, you'll change for other people. That sounds really romantic and cool, but it's actually like not a good thing. Like you should only change for yourself. When you're desperate, you kind of compromise your authenticity. Like you start to neglect who you are and you'll change just to make friends with other people. Like you want to fit in, so you'll change your hair, the way you talk, the way that you make jokes. You think that being yourself isn't enough, you need to be someone else. I mean, that's classic insecurity though, like changing who you are, being someone else. You're not good enough, so you have to be different. What I've realized when it comes to making friends at uni as an adult is when you work on your insecurities, it becomes easier to make friends. Because when you think about it, like people don't want to be friends with insecure people. I know that sounds brutal and horrible, but it kind of is true. Like if you think about think about a fantacle. Think about an imaginary person that's really, really needy, really, really insecure, like constantly needs reassurance, never is like reassured by anything that you say, and like they're just like constantly like insecure. That's quite a draining sort of friend to have. I know that sounds mean, but it's kind of true. So it's just a reminder that you as a friend, you're not that person, you're not super needy or insecure. I'm not saying that's you, but on the other end of the spectrum to that is someone who's super confident, secure in themselves, is comfortable being themselves, doesn't care what people think. And that's the sort of person that easily makes friends. And you don't have to be on one side of the spectrum or the other to make friends. You can be at every point in between that scale and still have friends. It's just whether or not they'll be good friends that love you for you, or whether they'll be trying to take from you, whether they're like, they have a million red flags and they're judgmental. And that's definitely on the more insecure side of the spectrum. And friends that are really caring, love you for you, will pay you back, will reassure, like the good sort of friends that you want are more on the confident side of the spectrum. The moment you realise you don't need to start looking for friends is the moment that you'll start to find them. Because I promise you, you don't actually, when you're like looking for friends, like this was me when I was like 19, looking for friends, like I need to go out and I need to go to societies, I need to go to coffee shops, I need to go out and meet new people. You don't actually want friends. It's such a paradox. You don't actually want friends. You just want like reassurance, comfort that like you are good enough and like you are okay, you are normal, you belong, you fit in. Those are the things that you want, like all those things. And you just think friendships are the way that you're going to get it. Being lonely it takes such resilience. Like not everyone can handle it on an extreme level when you're so young and surrounded by so many other people who've got what seems like the most amazing friendship, and they're all traveling and having fun together and going on holidays. Like it takes so much to be able to put up with that. But when I was in that really low time, when I was super lonely and felt like I had no one to turn to if I was having a good day or a bad day, like I wish someone told me like you're looking for these friends, but actually you're just lonely. You're not like dying. Like it sounds so harsh, but having friends is not an immediate emergency. It's not like a medical concern. Like it's just, I think in your head it's built up so much that I look really lonely, people think I'm a loner, and you start to think that the way that people think about you is quite important, and you're trying to like prove that wrong in a way. Like you're scared of coming across like a loner, coming across as lonely, so you make making friends super important, and you kind of create urgency around it. That's where the desperation comes in. What's better than having really crappy friends that you just settle for because you're desperate is actually being someone who can be alone. Maybe you look alone, maybe you're stood by yourself in a room or whatever, but you're confident. That's a lot better than having like really crappy friends, which I promise will happen if you keep being desperate about making friends. It's literally the moment that you forget about it and you actually start to like work on, how can I be more confident? How can I actually like stand up with my chest up, my shoulders back, and like I'm not scared and hiding? Like when you start to prioritize confidence in yourself rather than making friends, you actually start to make the friends. Because when you start to work on that, you become the sort of person that people want to be friends with. And lack of friendships in the past makes it hard to make friends in the future. Like if you've not had the social skills in high school, in middle school, whatever, to kind of learn how to make friends, it makes it harder in the future because you don't even know how to do it. Like you've never learned. You kind of have to learn on the go. But I think knowing how to make friends is such a myth. Like there is no perfect way to do it. I've made friends in so many different ways, in so many different, in real life, online, on dating apps. Like there is no perfect way to do it. The only requirement in every single time that you're trying to build a friendship, not make a friend, in every single time you're trying to build a friendship, the only number one thing that you need to do is just be confident in who you are. And that might sound really abstract, like how do you be confident in who you are? Don't ask for permission from people. Like don't look for reassurance. Don't crack a joke and see if they smile. Like crack a joke and don't even care if they smile or not, or like give your opinion if it's unpopular and don't care if someone agrees with you or not. Like don't look for reassurance in everything you say and do. Like be yourself and just be unapologetic about it, because it's a sign of insecurity when you're kind of like cracking a joke, seeing if people laugh, but it's a sign of confidence when you can crack a joke and don't even care if people laugh. And that's the sort of person that can build friendships way easier. Someone who doesn't know their worth is going to attract unhealthy relationships and friendships, because when you're the sort of person that needs reassurance, you're going to attract someone who knows how to manipulate that and is going to give you the reassurance but then also give you a bunch of crap as well and tell you horrible things and make you feel insecure. But they'll give you reassurance and they'll give you, like, it's such a back and forth, and I feel like that's such a toxic friendship or a toxic relationship. When you know your worth, you don't care about the reassurance. I don't need you to reassure me. I don't care if you agree with me or not. I can say my opinion and I don't care. That's the sort of person that has healthier friendships because you're not depending on them for reassurance. The game of making friends and making friendships is just a game of confidence, and confidence is such a big word. It's so used a lot on TikTok and like Instagram and YouTube. Like it's such a big broad word, but really it's just confidence in yourself, like not caring if people agree with you or not, like being unapologetic. It's tough for people pleasers because I feel like we are so apologetic. We say sorry all the time and we care what people think, and we do everything for other people almost. You don't do much for yourself, you do everything to please everyone else. It's tough because people pleasing is such a comfort zone thing. Like people say like stand up for yourself, yourself, be yourself. And I'm saying it in this video, like, be confident in who you are. But it's hard because it's like, that's your comfort zone, is hiding who you are, not being yourself, silencing what you want to say and not speaking up for what you believe in. That's what's comfortable, and it's so uncomfortable. It's literally itchy and uncomfortable to like say something completely like unpopular or say something that people are going to disagree with. That feels so scary. It's like threatening, like when you think about stepping out of your comfort zone in that way, it threatens like your safety. You just feel so uncomfortable. But honestly, when I started making the steps to do that a few years ago, when you do it once, you can do it again, and you can do it again, and you can do it again. And it honestly is such the best feeling. Like, no amount of money can buy that feeling. You can say something that's like, oh, and you don't care if people agree with you or not. Like, it's such a good feeling. Last point, you are the sort of friend that you want to have. You're just not confident enough to show it. I guarantee you, if you're watching this video, you have so many amazing traits. You're probably the nicest person that you know. You're probably really kind. You're probably always there for your friends. You're probably willing to go above and beyond. But part of you shows that when you're trying to make friends, when you're meeting new people. But there's an element of it which I know is probably not coming through because you're too scared. Insecurities are so annoying because they put a cap on who you can be. Like, it's tough when you know you can do something, you want to do something, you want to put yourself out there, but you're insecure. It like puts a limit, it puts like a limit on how far you can go, how much you can express yourself. But I promise, one step in the right direction. Once you do it once, you can do it again and again and again and again, and you will feel so liberated. Honestly, it's one of the best things that I did for myself was just stepping out of my comfort zone and like not being afraid to offend someone, like saying something and not caring if you agree or not. Like, once you do it, you will be so glad that you did. That's enough from me. I want to hear from you. Drop something in the comments. I'll meet you in there soon.